June 6th, 1944. 12,000 paratroopers fall out of the sky into a wall of anti-aircraft fire. Scattered. Alone. Miles from their targets. 33 days later, when they finally pull what's left of the 82nd Airborne off the line. 46% casualties. No replacements. No breaks. And here's the thing. Every single objective taken. Not 1 inch given back. That's not the story of the 82nd. That's just one chapter. Look, there are elite units. And then there are units that entire nations build their defense strategy around. The 82nd is the reason America can look at any crisis anywhere on Earth and say we'll have high-speed, low-drag paratroopers on the ground in 18 hours. They've been answering that call for over 100 years. This is how a bunch of guys from all 48 states became the most deployed division in American history. Our story doesn't start in the air. It starts in the mud, August 5th, 1917. Camp Gordon, Georgia. The 82nd Division stands up as a standard infantry unit. America's answer to the trenches of the Great War. Nothing special about that. Dozens of divisions were doing the same thing. But here's what made the 82nd different. The Army pulled soldiers from every single state in the Union. All 48. A cross-section of the whole damn country in one division. That earned them the nickname All-American, and that iconic AA shoulder patch they still rock today. Shipped to France in 1918, they got thrown straight into the meat grinder. Lorraine, Saint-Mihiel, the Meuse-Argonne offensive. Hardcore fighting that turned boys into veterans real quick, or put them in the dirt. This is where legends got made. Corporal Alvin York walked into that war as a conscientious objector. Guy didn't even want to fight. Walked out with a Medal of Honor after single-handedly killing 25 Germans and capturing 132 more. Straight up, that actually happened. War ends. Division goes home. Gets demobilized in 1919. For 20 years, looks like that's the end of the story. But the world was about to catch fire again. And this time, the 82nd wouldn't be fighting in trenches. They'd be falling from the sky. March 25th, 1942. Camp Claiborne, Louisiana. The 82nd gets reactivated under Major General Omar Bradley. Standard infantry division. Nothing fancy. But the brass had been watching what German paratroopers were doing in Europe. Dropping behind enemy lines. Creating chaos. Seizing objectives before the ground forces even showed up. America needed that capability. Yesterday, August 15th, 1942, the 82nd becomes the first airborne division in U.S. Army history. They move to Fort Bragg and start a complete transformation under General Matthew Ridgway. The training was brutal. And I don't mean tough selection course brutal. I mean learning to jump out of perfectly good airplanes, land behind enemy lines with no backup, and fight while completely surrounded, on purpose. 5-mile runs before breakfast. Jump school. Tactical problems until dark. Night jumps. Sleep when you're dead. A new breed of soldier was being forged. The American Paratrooper. Training's one thing, though. Any unit can run a hard selection. But jumping into actual combat, into enemy fire, that's a different conversation entirely. Sicily would be the first real test. And it was about to get ugly. In 1943, North Africa. The 82nd ships out to prep for Operation Husky, the Allied invasion of Sicily. July 9th, 1943. The first regimental-sized combat jump in U.S. Army history. It was a disaster and a triumph at the same time. High winds scattered paratroopers across the entire island. Pilots got lost. Guys landed miles from their drop zones, alone in the dark, surrounded by enemy territory. Here's what the Germans didn't expect. Those scattered paratroopers didn't panic. They formed up in small groups and started raising hell. Cut communications, ambushed patrols, created so much chaos that the enemy had no idea how many Americans were actually on the ground. Sicily falls. The 82nd pushes into Italy. September 1943. Allied forces are barely hanging on at Salerno during Operation Avalanche. Beachhead's about to collapse. The 82nd conducts a nighttime combat jump right into the chaos to reinforce them. It worked. Tide turned. This is where a German officer wrote something in his diary that stuck. Devils in baggy pants. He wasn't being poetic. He was scared. The 82nd had earned a reputation. But Normandy was coming. And it would make Sicily look like a warm-up. June 6th, 1944. D-Day. While the largest amphibious invasion in history hit the beaches, 12,000 paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st fell from the sky behind them. Their job: seize bridges, block roads, stop German reinforcements from reaching the coast. If they fail, German armor rolls straight to the beaches. D-Day fails, the whole invasion fails. No pressure. The jump was chaos. Anti-aircraft fire everywhere. Paratroopers scattered across the countryside. Some drowned in flooded fields, weighed down by equipment. Some landed right on top of German positions. The battle for the Lafayette Bridge and Causeway was savage. I'm talking hand-to-hand, house-to-house, bodies stacking up on both sides. For 33 straight days, the 82nd fought without a break, without replacements. When they finally got pulled off the line, 5,200 casualties, 46% of the division. General Ridgway's after-action report said it plain. Every mission accomplished. No ground gained was ever relinquished. That's not bravery. That's something else entirely. You'd think after Normandy, command would give these guys a rest. Instead, they looked at what was left of the 82nd and said, we've got an even crazier plan. Market Garden was about to make D-Day look simple. September 1944. Operation Market Garden. Bold plan. Capture a series of bridges across the Netherlands, create a highway straight into Germany's industrial heartland, end the war by Christmas. The 82nd draws the bridges at Grave and Nijmegen, including a massive highway bridge that absolutely cannot fall into German hands. Grave goes quick. Nijmegen, different story. German tanks closing in. The northern end of the bridge still held by the enemy. Entire operation about to fail. Here's where it gets insane. The only way across the Waal River is by boat. Problem? The boats are flimsy canvas assault craft. The river is 400 yards wide, and the Germans have machine guns and artillery covering every inch of it. In broad daylight, paratroopers load into those boats and start paddling. Some are using their rifle butts because there aren't enough paddles. Machine gun fire ripping the water apart. Artillery shells landing all around them. Boats getting shredded. Guys taking dirt naps left and right. The ones who make it storm the far bank and seize the bridge. The 101st took and held the first two bridges. The 82nd Airborne took and held the third bridge. After a fierce battle and a river crossing under direct enemy fire, fourth bridge at Nijmegen was delayed for a day but taken. The British 1st Airborne and Polish 1st Independent Parachute Brigade were dropped into bridges even deeper behind enemy lines. It was 62 miles from the first bridge to the last bridge. The fighting was fierce and the casualties were horrendous. The British 1st Airborne was nearly wiped out. Market Garden ultimately failed. The final bridge at Arnhem was a bridge too far. But what the 82nd did at the Waal River, that became legend. The war wasn't done with them yet. Hitler had one more card to play. And it was about to throw the 82nd into the frozen hell of the Ardennes. December 1944. Everyone thinks the war's almost over. Hitler disagrees. Launches his last-ditch gamble, the Battle of the Bulge. The 82nd gets rushed from France in open trucks. No cold weather gear. Straight into the frozen Ardennes forest to stop the German advance. They're facing elite SS Panzer divisions. Tiger tanks. In the snow, with what they're carrying. The All-Americans held, took thousands more casualties, refused to break. As the war ground toward its end, the 82nd pushed into Germany itself. May 2nd, 1945, they discovered something that stopped even these battle-hardened paratroopers cold. Wubelin concentration camp. These guys had seen everything. Normandy, Market Garden, the Bulge. Nothing prepared them for this. They immediately started providing food and medical care. Then they marched the citizens of nearby Ludwigslust to the camp and made them look. Made them bury the victims with full military honors. Some things you don't get to look away from. By VE Day, the 82nd had suffered over 9,000 casualties. The war was over. But for the All-Americans, a new mission was emerging. One that would put them at the center of every American crisis for the next 80 years. After World War II, the 82nd settled into a new role. America's strategic reserve. The break glass in case of emergency division. The Cold War made it official. When the Rapid Deployment Force stood up, the 82nd was its backbone. 1968. Tet Offensive hits Vietnam. The 82nd's 3rd Brigade deploys within 24 hours. Serves 22 months in-country. Hue, Saigon. The Mekong Delta. Cambodian border, 1983. Operation Urgent Fury. Grenada. Paratroopers jumping onto Point Salini's airfield, 1989. Operation Just Cause. Panama. Combat jump into the night to take down Noriega. 1990, Saddam rolls into Kuwait. The 82nd is the line in the sand. First conventional unit on the ground for Desert Shield. When Desert Storm kicks off, their flanking attack helps end it in 100 hours. Straight up, wherever it kicked off, the 82nd was first in. That was the 20th century. The 21st would test them in ways nobody saw coming. The All-Americans haven't slowed down. Stationed at Fort Bragg, they serve as the nation's global response force. The mandate is simple. Put a brigade anywhere on Earth in 18 hours, period. Afghanistan, Iraq, the War on Terror, counter-ISIS operations. The 82nd was there. Late 2023 through August 2024, division headquarters deployed to Romania. Black Sea region, standing watch on NATO's eastern flank while things got spicy with Russia. Under Major General Brandon Techmeyer, they're still training relentlessly. Still ready to fall from the sky at a moment's notice. Still the unit America calls when everything's on the line. That's been true for 107 years. Doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon. From the trenches of France to the skies over Normandy, from paddling across the Waal under machine gun fire to the frozen Ardennes, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Iraq, Afghanistan, NATO's eastern edge, the 82nd Airborne has answered every call for over a century. Not because they were ordered to, because that's who they are, the All-American Division, America's Guard of Honor. Still high speed, still low drag, still ready. If this story hit different, subscribe for more military history that doesn't put you to sleep.